Welcome to your weekly program, BelAhdan, the show that brings the other side of Muslim American in your living room. We all know about the Arab Spring, and it started with Tunis, Egypt, the big one, and everything falls apart. 2 years later, the people are still on the street complaining. The people are still having the same banners. People asking for the toppling of the regime, the toppling of Morsi. A lot of this franchise, young Egyptians still have a lot of questions. We have here a very special guest, the Dr-AbdulMawgoud Dardery. He is a member of Freedom and Justice Party, the political wing of Brotherhood, and he also a member, a spokesperson of Foreign Relationships. So he's on a mission here to convince America everything is okay. Come and visit us. Welcome to BelAhdan, Dr. Dardery.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed, for having me. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Really, it's really great to have a guest that we don't see him very often. You're coming from Egypt. A lot of Americans, they're fond of Egypt, and so many different levels. Even young kids, they love everything about Egypt, history, and all that. Yes. So Egypt has this, different ring to it.
Yes.
The revolution in Egypt was, mainly supported by the Egyptian American people, and it has a lot of, impressed a lot of people all over the world.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did indeed.
Except a lot of Egyptians.
Oh, not really. It is still impressed all Egyptians. It is what we see now after 2 years is political differences, and these are natural differences. It's very important in Egypt that we know how to agree to disagree. Street politics is not going to solve the problem. What we need in Egypt now is an institutionalized democracy. We cannot really have people fighting one another in the streets, because after living for 60 years or more under dictatorship teaches mistrust and teaches fear. And that's what's happening now. We would really like all of us as Egyptians to get out of this state of fear, a state of mistrust, and to start building bridges with one another so that we can move on with democracy.
How do we build this bridge? It seems like, President Morsi in power for what, 7 months?
Yeah, about 7 months.
That's not that whole a lot, but
yeah.
Anything happened in those 7 months that tells those people in the street, gives them some assurance?
Oh yes, a lot really happened in the past 7 months.
Okay.
Number one,
we don't hear about them, by the way.
That is very unfortunate. That's why Egyptian Americans really need to play a major role in getting the message of Egypt across away
Not
from
even
Egypt.
The Egyptian. I mean, we don't hear even the Egyptian media.
You're right, because the Egyptian media is very one-sided, and it is part of what we call in Egypt the fulul media. It is part of the old regime, and they're trying to damage the reputation of President Morsi and the president of the revolution.
Some of them, the one who brought Mubarak down, so they're not all flu.
Most of them are fulul, unfortunately. Some of them are, but most of them really are fulul, and they're trying really to damage the image of the revolution because they were part of the old system. Not only that, those who support them financially are part of the old system.
I see.
But President Morsi did a lot in the 7 months. Number one, look at the military is out of the political game now. And that's a big achievement. In Turkey, it took them 10 years to be able to push the military away.
More than that, it took them 30 years.
30 years.
Yeah.
So in Egypt, we did it in less than 7 months. That is a great achievement.
But they actually out of the picture?
Oh, very much so. And they repeatedly said it. They said many times that we're not part of the political discourse. We are here for all Egyptian people. We will protect democracy and whatever the results of democracy are. But to be part of the political discourse, they're not really willing to do it.
They're not in the making decisions.
Not at all. Not at all. This is number one. Number two is the fact that we have a constitution after so many years, first time ever, Mr. Ahmed, that we write our constitution our own. First time. And first time.
Who wrote the 71?
The 71 was a small committee in a closed room. There's 56 constitution also was written by a small committee.
Most of the constitution written by the Nukhba,
But this time is very different. It's not by the Nukhba. I, as a member of the people, I am one of the people. I elected the Constituent Assembly because I was elected by the people of Luxor. I had a chance to elect the people who wrote the Constitution. That's a great honor. And we met the people who wrote the constitution, we discussed it with them, and we reached a conclusion. Of course, constitutions are not perfect, but it is really an honor for Egypt to have its own constitution. And it has great articles that we can really build on the future. And then the fact that President Morsi was able to protect democracy. And that's a great thing. There was a plan to dissolve the other house of the parliament, the Shura Council, but President Morsi smartly, miraculously intervened to put an end to those who are playing with the future of Egypt.
That's the only institution we have left, isn't it?
Exactly, exactly. That is the only one.
Who are those, the lower parliament, the Market Shura? Who, are they elected?
They're elected by the Egyptian people, the same as the lower house. We have two houses in Egypt. The lower house, which is the People's Assembly that I was a member of, and then we have the upper house,
so it's like
which is
the Congress, senators and the representatives.
Yes.
Okay, so they are the senators?
Yes, they are the senators.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
They're by my house, by the way.
Yeah, and they wanted to dissolve that. And that was the problem of those. You see, in Egypt, we have four challenges. We have corrupt elements in the police, we have corrupt elements in the judiciary, we have corrupt elements in the state bureaucracy, and of course, we have corrupt elements in the media. And President Morsi is really trying with the rest of the Egyptian people. The majority of Egyptian people are not happy with the status quo. They were really encouraging President Morsi to move fast, to move in a revolutionized way. But President Morsi and the political establishment made a decision early on that we're gonna go the legal way. We're not gonna go the revolutionary way. And that's why it is gonna take us some time until things calm down.
The people in the street are in bad mood. And they are in a revolutionary mood. They toppled 60 years of dictatorship. And it seems like the reaction of Morsi's government is lagging behind. They are not really dealing with well. I mean, they are still Egyptian. There are still people who really put their life on the line to topple Mubarak and his groans and his. So why always? I'm always believe the violence always comes from the state.
That is unfortunately not the case in Egypt.
Even if the street a guy threw something, this is an Egyptian violating.
Not only through something, the fact that they have weapons in the streets, the fact that they shoot at people in the streets, the fact that they throw Molotov at the presidential palace. Imagine the situation we're here in America, that Romney's supporters, the Republicans, went to the White House throwing Molotov at President Barack Obama.
They own the whole country, the corporation. They didn't have to do that. But what I'm saying, what happened in Bursaid, what happened in Tahrir Tahadiyya, this is just, it has the feel and the smells of Mubarak's time and era, that we're still using violence to put down political rights and political agreements. I mean, so what was the revolution all about if this is going to be the case?
It's exactly what you're saying. It is the remnants of the old regime. Mubarak's regime are not happy with what the revolution produced. So what happened? A coalition took place between the opposition forces, Mr. Barad'i, Mr. Hamdin Sabahi, Mr. Amr Musa, who was a big fulul. They joined hands with the rest of the fulul so that they can disrupt the advancement of the Egyptian revolution. If they're gonna fail, they're not gonna be able to do it. I think the Egyptian people are very much aware of what Egypt needs, what Egyptians want, and they're gonna move forward.
You mean the average Egyptian?
The average, the majority really of Egyptian.
It's amazing when I listen to the both sides, and I'm sitting here. I mean, I don't care. I have family there. I'll stay here with snow, and I'm happy. But what I'm looking at is from objective, neutral. They all accuse the other of the same thing, like they accuse the Brotherhood of being with the flu. They work with the military. They're trying to brotherization of Ikhwanization of police. And so, is this a serious accusation that the Brotherhood are, in a way, quietly and systematically try to change the identity of Egypt and try to brotherization of Egypt on so many levels from ground up?
I think the matter in Egypt is beyond the Muslim Brotherhood. Egypt is bigger than the Muslim Brotherhood. Egypt is all for all Egyptians. And we stated this very clearly from the very beginning. We're only part of the Egyptian society. Now there is mutual accusation. I agree with you.
Yeah.
What do we do? is let us go to the Egyptian people.
Yeah.
Let us go to the ballot box. And the ballot box is the only way. Unfortunately, the opposition does not want the ballot box to rule. They don't trust the Egyptian people. Can you believe a political scientist in Cairo University by name Hassan Nafa, Dr. Hassan Nafa, came to suggest that we need to have an agreed upon parliament, a parliament that is selected, not elected by the Egyptian people, or a parliament that is to be appointed by President Morsi so that we can repeat the same elite of Mubarak's days. That is too much. Egyptians will not accept alternatives like this. Egyptians are insisting on having fair and free election so that those who present better vision to the Egyptian people can go to the Egyptian people and present their case. And the Egyptian people have to have the right to decide who stays in the parliament, who doesn't.
I know there is an elitism in of the opposition, the way the opposition handled it. I mean, those Brotherhood backward, this Islamists are robe wearing and shib and drink bol al-ba'i. I mean, the accusation is almost culturally based on a Brotherhood, and it's just accuse you of being backward and inept and not up to the job of modern life. And you know, this is exaggeration, but you know, when you look at the way the government of Morsi is handling the crisis, it doesn't comfort you that he really can deal with this modern life problem and complexity of economy and all, and so many different levels. I just heard the issue of his prime minister when he was talking about this, the women in the southern, how they breastfeeding their kids that are mutakhallifin, they are ignorant, and they don't clean their breast. He's a prime minister. He's not like this Tamargi, the guy, an assistant doctor, a nurse should have a campaign to announce that, and he never talk about the role of poverty in that part of Egypt, which you are a part of that area.
Yes.
Poverty is behind a lot of things, not ignorance, not the fact they are uneducated, and this is coming from the head of the government.
And to your surprise, the head of the government is an American educated professor.
Yeah.
The president himself is an American educated. Yes. The majority, the problem with the opposition, they're really accusing the Egyptian people of not reaching the level of maturity to be able to elect their own representative. So it is more in the sick minds of some opposition. It is what I call political cynicism. Mm-hmm. They're trying to, you see, like looking at the empty half or the full half of the cup.
They don't even see the cup.
They don't even see the cup, and that is their problem. And that's why it is very important for the Egyptian revolution to go on, present its case to the Egyptian people. At the end of the day, those who do not respect the will of the Egyptian people really have to be out of the formula. And those who respect the will of the Egyptian people have to be part of the solution. And we really encourage...
And they're going to win at the end.
Of course.
Look what happened in January 25th.
Yes.
Whoever sided with the people won.
Yes. And we've
the
had
military
so
did
far
not...
4 elections.
Mm-hmm.
The People's Assembly, the Shura, the presidential election, and 2 referendums. We had the first referendum and the second. Egyptian people are very smart. I congratulate each and every Egyptian. They are the best in that part of the world. And I believe they will make the best decision for the future of Egypt.
It seems like the reaction of those opposition that you're talking about. And I'm surprised. I live in the West more than I lived in the East.
Yes.
So I know a little bit about
yes.
how this country works culturally. I got more Christmas cards from my friends liberal in Egypt than my friends here in the United States. I got more. Today is Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
I don't know why the Egyptians are celebrating Valentine's Day. It's a Western holiday manufactured by the chocolate flour industry.
And this is the unique thing about the Egyptian revolution again. Egyptian revolution means the end of colonial culture. And the Egyptians really...
It seems like it's getting worse.
Hopefully not. I don't think so. I think it is changing, but the change is still in a slow pace. But lots of people, I think people now, the unique thing about Egyptians in the January 25th, they said clearly, we're done with the inferiority complex. We're not going to feel inferior anymore. You know, عقدة الخواجة. It's over now. Egyptians do not have عقدة الخواجة. I remember when President Morsi sent me to speak to the people in the United States, told me, tell them clearly that we would like to build new relations, we would like to build new bridges of understanding, but based on two principles. The first principle is mutual understanding. If we're not respected, we cannot tolerate this. And then mutual interest. We're not going to be a client state anymore. We would like to be able to work with the United States on equal footage. So this inferiority complex, I think we're getting rid of it, but it is going to take us some years to be able to produce results.
The Freedom and Justice Party, which you are a member of,
yes,
it's a political, political party.
Yes.
Why it comes across as they are unconditionally supporting Morsi? As a member of that party, can you criticize Morsi for us? Tell us what he's done, what things he should have done differently?
Of course, and I think we did. Many people in the Freedom and Justice Party are asking President Morsi to move faster than this. They're asking him to get the state rid of the old regime. It is not fair after 7 months. We still have ministers who belong to the old regime. We still have so many corrupt elements in the judiciary, in the police, in the media, and in state bureaucracy. We would like President Morsi to be able to move faster in really having people, because people need services to be delivered to them. And until today, in many different places, Luxor included, the services are not provided to the people, and that is not a good sign for the presidency or for the revolution. So we are critical. We will be always critical. You cannot be a member of a political party without being able to be critical, even if you
represent all Egypt.
Of course, it does. Not just he does not. He does represent all Egypt, not just the Freedom
and your party.
And my party exactly is the majority party, and that's why criticism is. We look at it. I call it loyal opposition. It is not, I am not criticizing.
Tough love.
Tough love. I am not criticizing him for the sake of criticism. No, I'm criticizing him so that we can move forward in the right direction.
What do you think of Morsi personally?
Personally,
not as a member of.
Yes.
What do you think of him? You also, you always represent Morsi. You look like him. You got your degree from the United States.
Yes, that is
You are
true.
in the same party.
Yes, that is true.
And you could have been him, or you be him years. But why is he bringing the worst out of some of the opposition?
No, not really. The opposition, they are saying because they lost the presidential election. Can you believe some opposition leaders would like to bring Morsi down by street riots? That is not democracy, because they did not taste.
What they did was Mubarak.
But Mubarak was never elected. And that is the big difference.
99%.
You see, 99.99%.
I was the 1%, by the way.
Not only you, maybe I was also there. So this is the problem. A democratically elected president is very different from a dictator. So if we would like really, if the opposition is interested in changing President Morsi, not to have him take another 4 years, they have a bigger chance in the coming election.
I know we have a few minutes here, but I was doing a Facebook and asked him, I have you on the show, and what do you want to ask him? And one, an activist lady say, what is the percentage of women at the parliament? Isn't that an issue?
In the previous parliament, the largest number of women in the Egyptian parliament were members of the Freedom and Justice Party. But of course,
it's still a small number.
Very small number.
Yeah.
We're not really happy with this, and we're really, on my part, encouraging very much women to be politically active and to participate more in the political process. It is the right.
So the Brotherhood, they have no issue of women getting active in politics?
Not at all. In fact, we had the largest number of women in the previous parliament, and we would like to have more. In fact, we are also interested in having more women in the municipalities so that they participate. They represent not only half of the society, I think they represent all of the society.
What is wrong with Abu Islam?
I don't know.
That kind of people bring you bad. You know, he's from my village.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I don't want to go my village anymore.
No.
I love the guy is like the Basim, whatever, of the Brotherhood. He's funny, isn't
he? No, he's not a member of the Brotherhood, but he's fine. I saw him making with a piece of paper.
Well, the other guy, his argument also is like making it's just everybody is a clown.
It is very,
It's
very
really
unfortunate.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
You have
Thank you for having me.
a very tough challenge. We wish you luck. And I know Dr. Dardery was here a few weeks ago, and he met the Egyptian American Society here, and I have a debate with a liberal, debater here. And I met some of the Egyptian American here, especially young women, and they have some concern about Egypt. I have that tape, and we'll see you next week. Assalamu alaikum, and God bless you all.
Thank you.
And I know that the sexual harassment levels have actually gone up. I've heard so much. Even when I went a couple years ago, it was bad, but now I hear it's worse.
About sexual harassment in Egypt and Fairfield, what do you think as a woman? What's your take on what's going on in Egypt, and there is a space for a woman like you?
Honestly, sexual harassment is a huge issue in Egypt. I feel that as when I go to Egypt that, that's definitely a phenomenon. And that is something that needs to change, and there are a lot of efforts to change that.
So as a woman yourself, what's your fear about Morsi or the Islamists and all? What's your fear? Do you think...
I think that because they are an Islamic government, that they're a little bit more stricter on women and kind of more lenient on men.
So it's not sexual harassment or just harassment?
I mean,
Political
political and sexual harassment. On the streets, you see a lot of women being harassed by men, and it's normal now. People have it as a normal, everyday occasion, and it's sad. Yeah, it's just flirting.
I'm very surprised. Women play a big role, and they're very underestimated for what they do, and they should be respected more, and they should be more treated with respect and all that kind of stuff.
Do you think that
running away from the civil war and came to Egypt and was one of the most hospitable people that I've ever met. I remember actually the first 3 years that I've spent in Egypt still is a huge memory in my life, and I learned Arabic from there. So
I found life here is more predictable. You know what you get overseas because of corruption, no respect for the individuals.
Are you, are you following events in Morocco or what's going on in North Africa?
It's, Morocco actually is a monarchy, so it's not really a democracy, which I don't like. And there are also, like you mentioned earlier, sexual harassment there. The way that women are approached on streets are very inappropriate, and it's not safe for women to go outside alone, especially at night.
So do you think this has something to do with Muslim Brotherhood, or this has been going on? How?
I don't. Maybe they're involved. I'm not really sure.
The Muslim Brotherhood, they're harassing women?
Well, I don't know really. I haven't thought about it that much, but
Okay. You should.
I really should. Yeah.
I've always had Egypt in my heart, and this revolution is something that I have never imagined, and I'm extremely surpriseful as ever.
I mean, all we want is a better Egypt, and I'm optimistic for the future, and hopefully one day we'll get what we want.
Well, the country is still divided, and
So Morsi for me is kind of, I'm iffy on him, but
every country in Europe, France, and England, they have like a group. Anybody has donate something to Egypt or open account in Egypt.
It's interesting that because this is the post-revolution, people are actually, women played a major role in that revolution. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because of the Muslim Brotherhood, being that they're Islamic, and I
What's the connection? What's the connection between the Brotherhood and sexual harassment?
I feel like I don't have my point straight because I haven't read about it a lot, but
one important fact that people need to understand, that most of the leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood, or a large number of them, got their PhDs from the United States.
It's flirting. Even the policeman, you'll go ask them a question like, "Can you help me?" and they'll flirt with you, and it's like, no.
Wouldn't that something kind of strange after Arab Spring and revolution, and the role the women played in that revolution, play a major role? Would be surprised that you still see this type of behavior for men?
Yeah, I am very surprised. Women play a big role, and they're very underestimated for what they do, and they should be respected more, and they should be more treated with respect and all that kind of.
Liberals What they are doing right now is trying to sabotage the work of the new president.
The sexual harassment in the Arab world is similar to sexual harassment here, or is it a little bit different?
I think for sure it's different. Here more people are more aware of it. People pay attention to it more. Overseas it's not as important to them, or it's not as talked about as it should be, and more people should be more informed about it for sure.
What do you think is driving sexual harassment in Egypt now? It wasn't really a phenomenon, you know.
I honestly think it's ignorance, it's lack of education. I don't believe the theories that it's because they're, they don't interact with women or anything. I think it's just ignorance.
I just learned about like new things that like Egypt is still safe and it's not like crazy how everybody thinks it is. So like I can go there and I won't be scared to go there, pretty much.
The individual who was part of the Egyptian parliament, he lived the events, was more accurate to describe it. The other individual, he did good to present the point of view of the other party. But I noticed that what he said was the same thing what you hear in the media in the U.S. So,
well, the women here, also been used in different ways, sex object, and the whole industry built on selling women. Tell us a little bit about the difference, how men look at women, or society look at women here, as opposed to back in Egypt.
Well, back in Egypt, I've only been to Egypt a few times, but back in Egypt, the woman is free to dress or be any way she wants, and she's respected as that. Obviously, there are people that will disrespect because of lack of education or ignorance.
Surprise, it's a pleasant surprise.
yes, and I've been a member of the U.S. military for the last 21 years. I'm proud of every minute.
The difference between being in Egypt and here is, over here, the woman is objectified a lot more than she is objectified in Egypt.